Theodore Roosevelt was born on October 27, 1858, to Theodore Roosevelt, Sr. and Martha Bullock Roosevelt, a wealthy family in New York City. Known as Teddy, later Teddy, he was frail and sickly as a boy, and as a teenager followed a program of gymnastics and weightlifting to build up his strength. Upon graduating from Harvard College in 1880, Roosevelt married Alice Hathaway Lee and entered Columbia University Law School, though he dropped out after only 1 year to enter public service. He was elected to the New York State Assembly at the age of 23 and served 2 terms. Both his wife and mother died on the same day in 1884, and the grieving Roosevelt spent the next 2 years on a ranch he owned in the Badlands of the Dakota Territory, where he hunted big game, drove cattle, and worked as a frontier sheriff. Upon returning to New York, he married his childhood sweetheart, Edith Kermit Caro. The couple would raise 6 children together, including Roosevelt's daughter from his first marriage, Alice. Edith and Theodore's other children were Theodore Roosevelt, Jr., Kermit Roosevelt, Quentin Roosevelt, Ethel Roosevelt Derby, and Archibald Roosevelt. In 1886, Roosevelt ran unsuccessfully for mayor of New York City. 2 years later, President Benjamin Harrison rewarded Roosevelt's service to the Republican Party with a job on the U.S. Civil Service Commission. He was reappointed by Harrison's successor, Grover Cleveland. In 1895, Roosevelt became president of the New York City Board of Police Commissioners, and in 1897 William McKinley named him as Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Navy. Upon the outbreak of the Spanish-American War in 1898, Roosevelt left his post as Naval Secretary to become colonel of the 1st U.S. Volunteer Cavalry, known as the Rough Riders. Once in Cuba, Roosevelt led the Rough Riders in a brave, costly uphill charge in the Battle of San Juan. He returned home as one of the war's most visible heroes. On September 6, 1901, a deranged anarchist named Leon Czolgosz shot McKinley at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. McKinley died 8 days later, and Roosevelt was sworn in as the 26th president. Only 42 years old when he took office, he was the youngest president in the nation's history, and his youth and vigor immediately transformed the public image of the presidency. Young and physically robust, he brought new energy to the White House and won a second term on his own merits in 1904. Roosevelt was an early advocate of American entry into World War I, which broke out in Europe in 1914, and strongly criticized Wilson's early policy of neutrality. Once the United States entered the war in 1917, all 4 of Roosevelt's sons volunteered to fight. His beloved youngest son, Quentin, was shot down and killed while flying a mission over Germany. Politically and physically active until the end, Roosevelt died of a pulmonary embolism in his sleep on January 6, 1919, at his family home in Oyster Bay, New York, at the age of 60. He is buried in Young's Memorial Cemetery in Oyster Bay Cove,